Hello, welcome to Technocracy Reloaded, Episode 1, IG. Before we dive in too far, I want to give you all a chance to meet the agents. So we're going to start things off with, let's start with, I'm looking at my screen. All right, let's start with Marks. Marks, why don't we go ahead and have you just real quick say who you are, pronouns, who you're playing, pronouns, and their convention. And then we'll just move around that way.
Okay. Hi, Soderos Filbricato. I will be playing he, him, usually, and I will be playing Marks, she, her, who is an enforcer for the syndicate.
Beautiful. And next up, Agent Higa, right?
Yes. I'm Hiro Mikota. I'll be playing Agent Higa. I am a they, them, and Agent Higa is a she, her. I write stuff for Onyx Path, including a big chunk of the gadgets here, which is... Apparently I have robots in real life over here that are upset with me.
The paradox has already started.
You also wrote that awesome that awesome chapter, the order battle chapter, which is my favorite in the book.
Oh, good.
Abby's watching. That's so exciting.
Oh.
Hey, Abby.
Hey, Abby. And your convention? Or I should say Agent Higa's convention?
Oh, I am in the Hakuryu convention, which is more or less Japan's version of Iteration X. There are some nuances there, and we'll see if we get into them.
Beautiful. Love it. Next up, Agent Green.
Oh, I'm Jacqueline Jax Brick. I've written a whole bunch of stuff for Onyx Path as well as other companies. Today I will be playing Agent Allison Green, who's very happy to be here. And she is a New World Order suit. My pronouns are she, her, and Allison's pronouns are also she, her.
Excellent. And we are down a player this session, so I just want to make sure that you're all aware. That's why we have a scene missing hanging out over here. Over here? I get confused with which way is my left and my right when I'm streaming. But that brings us to the last one we have remaining. So please, Agent Johnson, give us your pertinence.
I'm Drew Kindorf, he, him. I am playing Agent John Johnson, the clone newbie, and he is a he, him, and he works with the Void Engineers, but I feel like he is already in over his head.
That's a fair assessment. And I believe it was pointed out that last session we didn't have a chance to discuss your focus. So could you take a moment to please break down your focus for us?
So, yeah, John Johnson is a very simple man. His paradigm is a world of gods and monsters, and damn it, he's here to kill both. His practices are hypertech and cybernetics. He himself is not necessarily cybernetics, but he is a gene engineer, gene modded clone. And then his instruments are armor, BCI, cybernetics, devices, formulae, nanotechs, and weapons. He is a good old boy with... It's all about the hardware. It's all about a little bit of math to calculate the proper way to blow that thing up.
I love it. Roll Dex and Athletics for me, would you please?
Sure, let's just start it off. All right, death, and default difficulty is 6, yes?
Yes, unless I tell you otherwise, your difficulty, you may assume, is 6.
All right. So I
That
need,
doesn't mean 6 successes. That means 6 and
Right.
above is a success, correct?
Yes. Difficulty. In the olden days, we used to say difficulty when we meant target number.
Got it.
I have 3 successes. Thanks, Onyx Path Dice Roller app.
Hell yeah, I love the Onyx.
Now
Path.
available,
Yes.
I do believe, for Android and iOS.
I believe so.
3 successes, you say?
Go quickly
4
with-
successes technically, and a 1. So the thing is telling me that means 3.
Right. So you dive
Absolutely.
out of the way.
That sounds like a
as-
good idea.
What
Great.
appears to be a serpentine sort of clawed hand
Alexa.
swipes
Stop.
through Alexa using my correspondence procedure, and just over your head. And as this thing passes over your head, you see that the hand itself appears to be floating, disconnected from an elbow that is about the length of what you'd expect a human arm to be back from it. But there's just this space of nothingness. As you look up and see this creature, it appears to be roughly the same configuration of limbs as a human, but it has a tail that's about 9 feet long, 2 heads that are both more, imagine like a humanoid, but with an alligator snout. And they're snapping independently and looking at you. And the other hand, the one that's not swiping at you, is pulling a plate, a glass plate, out of the display on the wall next to where you're fighting. And where you're fighting is inside of Ripley's Believe It or Not on the Delton Strip in Wisconsin Dells. It is summer. It is tourist season. Very busy. Wisconsin Dells normally has a population of about 2,000 people. On any given weekend in the summer, its population swells to about 50,000 people as they come in for the water parks, the attractions, the various things happening. This is really your first field assignment since you have been at the Bartlett Construct, and you were asked to check into a complaint that was phoned in to your managing agent in charge from a sympathizer who works at Ripley's, that there were complaints of strangeness that was not on the schedule. So they have asked your amalgam to come and investigate. And as you were looking around, you basically almost stepped into this claw. You're in sort of the central display area. And this plate that was pulled off of the display, one of the things they have at Ripley's is the brain of a serial killer that was donated to science and was sliced into several slices in cross sections, and then splayed out so that you can just walk up and sort of flip through this almost like a just very macabre picture book of a human brain. And this thing that you are facing down has just pulled one of the plates out of it and looks like it's about to come bringing it down upon your head. Now, that's where you are, inside in this display room. Rewinding things about 5 minutes or so. As your amalgam is responding to this call, where would... let's start with Marks. Where would Marks be? And going into this situation, or I guess as an amalgam, what would your approach be? You've been called, you've been told to go into Ripley's, believe it or not. There's been reports of strangeness that was not on the schedule, and the managing agent in charge wants you to go in, look around. It's probably nothing. It's probably a, vacationing preteen with an overactive imagination, but you've been asked to look into it anyway.
Okay. Is the museum still full? Are people still in it, or have they cleared it out?
They have cleared it out. They have cleared it out expecting your arrival.
Okay, so I'm going to just be I'm going to be wandering around looking for things that appear to be suspicious, with both arms just crossed like this and both hands ready to grab knives if necessary.
All right. And looking on the and wandering the inside of the displays, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. While you're walking about, are you activating any adjustments or procedures as you go in, or are you just relying on your mundane senses to sort of see what's going on in there?
I'm going to do some deep breathing and then open my eyes and focus my focus my awareness towards seeing biological life patterns that seem a little bit unusual, or possibly some disturbances in the primal energy nearby.
Excellent.
In game terms, life one, prime one.
Beautiful. Why don't you go ahead and give me
Focus.
an enlightenment roll, and that will be absolutely coincidental. So your difficulty will be 4.
I'm doing old school.
You.
I have a
Oh.
whopping
Weird.
4d10 is my issue.
An 8 and a 9, so that'd be 2 successes.
Beautiful. You're able to open up your senses. Your immediate perceptions as you're sort of walking around are what you would expect them to be. The particularly life, when you first take that focus in, you're sensing some of the plant life. There are some living plants that are planted in there. Some of them for decoration. Some of them are like, there's like a Venus flytrap display and things along those lines. You're seeing the little bit of buzzing insects that they keep in that display as well, because it would be no fun to not watch it eat. But I would like you to go ahead and give me a perception awareness roll. And this will be at difficulty 5 because it'll be hard to miss.
Okay, so is this awareness or alertness?
This is awareness.
Okay. Yeah, I totally fucking botched.
Oh, beautiful.
I didn't see a fucking thing.
Yeah, you see that there's quintessence, or there's primal energy, I should say. Ooh, I'm gonna have to flashy thing myself. There's primal energy.
That's unmutual.
Flowing
You use
around.
reality deviant terminology.
I know, right? There's primal energy sort of flowing around, and you do notice that it's seems to be taking a bit of an unusual pattern. In a place like this, barring any sort of mystical interference, you would expect it to sort of flow along with the movement of traffic effectively, right? As people are just, the primal energy that is going through people's patterns kind of leaves a little bit of a trail, a little bit of a wake. You sort of follow one of these offshoots, just almost kind of absent-mindedly, thanks to your botch roll. And I'll get back to the end result of that in just one moment. While Marx is walking around and chasing primal energy patterns, what would Agent Higa's position be going into this situation?
Well, first it needs to be safe, and after that, gonna need to gather samples of everything possible. If I could have requisitioned an autonomous investigatory sampler, that would have been fantastic.
Why don't you go ahead and give me a requisitions roll? That's going to be difficulty 7.
Okay.
Please do better than I did earlier.
More than I did. Don't watch.
Where are my dice? This is not a good sales pitch for the app.
Still in development, still in beta, folks, still in beta.
Two successes. Two successes.
Yeah, you can absolutely get one. Where would you like to set this up at?
Probably as close to the center of it as I could. And since we've been told that the scene is clear of civilians, I'm not going to worry so much about me setting a hive of 1,000 drones loose.
Okay. So you sort of set up in the middle, and you're so the central area is you go in and there's various hallways and rooms that you can walk out of, but there's a big central display area that has kind of some of their neatest items in it. It has the side of a ship, a little piece that was cut out of the side of a ship that supposedly had like this, Manhattan Project-esque sort of like mass appearance in it. So it's got a piece of metal sticking through it that they're claiming just appeared there. That's where the Philadelphia experiment, that's what I was looking for. Thank you. Manhattan Project, totally different thing. But they have these various sort of attractions and items that are on display in that central room, and it's on effectively 2 stories. So you can get up to the top floor of the place by a circular stairway that's on either side. Now at this point, Agent Johnson has gone up the circular stairway over by the serial killer exhibit, while Agent Marks has sort of wandered off. You're in the dead center, right next to this big metal device object thing that's got another piece of metal shoved through it. And while all this, and you're setting up your device, what's Agent Green doing?
Well, I'd like to request a roll, first of all. I'd like to request a charisma investigation roll, because I would like to go into the Ripley's exhibit and go, goodness, I hope there's nothing around that's going to threaten me or my friends.
All right, go ahead and roll.
Thank you. What is my 6?
Yes, please.
All right. Where is my roller? Here it is. So darkness, difficulty 6. Cool. Okay, thank you very much. Please actually let me use a die. How do you cause it to actually put a die on the screen?
There's you'll have to select
+1, -1.
Right.
Oh, okay, I see it. Okay.
Or +1, +5, yep.
Cool. So I roll 5 successes.
Excellent. You have certainly reached out to the energy in the place, which becomes apparent to you as 2 things occur simultaneously. One, you hear a screech above, accompanied by this thing sort of manifesting out of nowhere directly in front of Agent Johnson, where it swipes at him and he deftly ducks out of the way.
You know what you did?
The second thing that you see happen is Mark's, the area of the hallway that Marks is in, you see it sort of jiggle in your view for a moment, and you see overlapping, like almost like ghost images, phantom images, like it was a double exposure of Marks for just a moment in that hallway before they just poof, and she's gone.
Which one's closer to me, Marks or Johnson?
Marks is probably closer to you.
I'm going to attempt to make eye contact with the ghostly images around Marks.
Oh, there was just an overlay of Marks's own image, and then Marks, then the hall's empty.
Yeah, Mark disappeared.
Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look into the darkness, and I'm going to say very politely, please bring her back. She's very important.
Okay.
And I would like to use my mind.
Excellent. So you're using your, just your social interaction as a focus. It's coincidental, so go ahead and give me an enlightenment roll.
All right. What am I rolling for that?
Now that depends on what exactly you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to give it a direct command to do so, force this thing to happen, or are you trying to give it sort of a subtle suggestion that this would be a wise thing to do?
The latter. She's not really a direct, forceful command sort of
Then
person.
that'll be mine too. Your difficulty will be 5, as it is coincidental.
So what is the roll for this?
Just enlightenment.
Okay.
Genius, Arete.
Oh, it's just my arete?
Yeah, just your
And
arete. Sorry.
I'm trying to roll over 2 successes.
No, you just need to get 5s or better on the dice and see how many
Got
successes
it.
you get.
Okay, so I'm rolling my arete for a mine 2 rote. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Solid. Well, I got 2 successes.
Excellent. You feel a strange communion almost as you put forth this emotional sort of plead. You feel something bounce back to you. And it feels horrifying. And it feels
Horrifying how?
in a very familiar way. It feels like the exact cusp between sleep and wakefulness on the nights of your worst nightmares.
Ooh, don't like that.
But as soon as that sensation washes over you, Marks, you round a corner and are standing back, now facing the room you just walked out of.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as you're concerned, that's like you didn't notice anything except a sudden shift in your perspective in positioning in space.
Okay. So I'm suddenly facing the opposite direction of where I was facing, or?
Yes, yeah. As if you took one step and immediately did a 180.
Essentially, you did the Scooby-Doo thing. Welcome back, Agent Marks.
Do I see her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. How?
Don't worry about it. Agent Johnson's currently getting his face torn off.
And
We should probably help him instead.
and on
Talk
that
about it
note,
later.
let's get initiative rolls from everyone.
Absolutely. What do I roll to roll initiative, Travis?
Yes, tell us
So,
what we roll to roll initiative, please.
There are 100,000 ways to do it, and I never remember which one is the one that is used in Mage
Same
20.
here.
I believe it is. Let's see. We want to make sure that we're showing it off right?
Wits plus alertness, or if that's one of the many different ways that we used to do it and don't do it anymore.
Yeah, there's so many ways.
Let's consult the big book.
Hooray!
Indeed.
The door stopper, the baby murderer, the
I bet-
one true book.
I bet you somebody's beating me to it in the chat.
Probably.
So you will roll the
Initiative.
one die and add it to your Dex plus Wits. That was what my gut said.
It's alertness, says Shan Wolf. But I'm also willing to do Dex Wits. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
too.
so-
Dex Wits is what it says on
So it's
$3.99.
1d10, and then you add that to the sum of your Dex plus Wits.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So that in my case would be 3. Dex Wits is 7, 10.
Beautiful.
Mm,
All right, I have Marks at 10.
9.
All right, I have Agent Green at 9.
John Johnson is 14.
Excellent.
Yes, but what's his initiative?
Not playing a child character.
Oh, that didn't work the way I hoped. So JJ is at 14. Mark's at 10. Green at 9. And what's he got?
11, which doesn't seem the most hopeful.
Sorry, technically you are close to me. I'm sure you can help somehow.
All right, and the thing is going to be going first.
That just seems unfair.
Indeed. So this thing is going to swipe at you with the petrified brain of a serial killer that has been, pressed in 2 panes of glass and then sealed. And as it swings at you, it lets out this horrific, inhuman sort of squeal from one of its heads, while the other head appears to open to an inhuman seems like the wrong word, but it's the first one that comes to mind. Degree. As you see, you can see for sure at your vantage point. Let's have everybody else just give me a quick perception and alertness roll to see if you notice exactly what's happening inside this mouth.
And 6?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool.
1 success.
2 successes.
1 moment, please. Processing.
No worries.
Real dice don't reboot.
1 success.
Excellent. So with 1 success, the two of you from where you're at, you really can only see sort of this bulbous sort of mass. It almost looks like the throat is swelling outward like a frog's would or a toad's would. And then you're seeing like a bulbous mass inside the mouth, but you can't quite make out what that mass is. Now, Marks, you're at a different angle, and you're able to make out that there's definitely the loose arrangement of human features on that bulbous mass that's coming out through the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't, it's very much covered in, various sort of fluids and goo, and very difficult to make out any details. You can tell that it is someone that's fairly light-skinned. You can tell that they have dark hair or hair that grows very dark when wet. And you can tell that they're wearing black sunglasses.
So does it look like this person has been swallowed and is kind of stuck in the goo in the throat?
Yeah, almost as if they're being born out of this thing's mouth.
Ew.
Yeah, not a pretty sight. And you are close enough. You have a great vantage point as this piece of glass is coming directly at your left eye, Agent Johnson.
Sure.
To see this form look at you. Definitely hard cheekbones, square jawed, and whisper a single word that you can make out over the squealing. Whisper isn't really growl the word out is more, and it says D. And then I need you to roll your Dex Athletics, please.
That's another 8. That is a 8 successes on my
Holy crap.
8 dice.
Excellent. So you
Nice.
you feel the wind as the sharp corner of that glass like just misses your eyeball, and you're able to spin around, draw any weapon you like, and I'll give you a -1 to your difficulty on your attack with it. Or if you have another follow-up you would like to use, you may do that as well.
Sure. Well, since I imagine my amalgam was like, no, you can't take the energy weapons out. I just pull out my riot baton.
All right.
And I'm just no.
Stop it.
Excellent. Is there a particular appendage or area you're targeting?
Considering that one head appears to be occupied by potentially an ally in, like, I'm not sure what's going on with that head. This one over here is just keening and full of teeth. I'm just gonna hit that one. Just crack it right over the top. There's no finesse. There's no Mark's level martial arts. I have 3 melee, and I hit it.
All right, awesome.
Or
I will let you make a dexterity and melee, and that's going to be at difficulty 4 because you did such an amazing job swooping around to get out of the way.
That brings...
And that's just me being super kind because it was a nice roll as opposed to anything that's actually written in the rules.
Make stuff up as you go, guys. It's a TTRPG.
It's true.
5 successes on that, sir.
Okay, so you bring this baton down and you crack it directly between the eyes. As you do, you see it's almost as if you sliced through it as the part, so you're faced off with it, right? So the left side of its head just dissipates away when you hit it. As if it, not even like there's a piece falls off or there's any blood or any loss. It's as if you've knocked that chunk out of existence.
Sure, that's a normal Tuesday for me. Yeah.
It's just not there anymore. And so that then will bring us to Agent Higa. What would you like to do?
Well, this is new data, so I need to get up there. I am gonna run up the closest stairs to that because I have to get a sample.
Excellent. So are you going to abandon activating the device in order to run up the stairs?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but
I'm gonna get up to you. Come help.
There's a fresh sample up there.
That's
the
fair.
ace could pick up all sorts of older stuff, but there's something that I can get my hands on.
Excellent.
It's not even gonna come to mind that it could get its hands on me.
You go running up the
not
circular stairway, which makes for quite an image for those of you on the ground floor. As Agent Higa drops her stuff, turns around and runs up this very tight circular staircase. It's like 6 or 7 revolutions to get up to the top of this thing. Definitely not designed more for the experience than for functionality. But you do arrive up top, and you do have enough time to engage in an action if you so choose. So, what would you like to do while you're up there?
Hey, Johnson, duck real fast.
Yeah.
Out comes the X5.
Okay.
Which Toshiko's not bad at. Target number 6.
Yeah, unless the X5 has a lowered target number by default on it.
Not that I know of. And I'm sorry.
Don't say that.
How sorry?
Who are you saying sorry to?
I'm botch sorry.
All right, you fire the X5.
There's a 9, but there's also some 1s.
Well, as long as you have some material success, you're not going to suffer the worst effects of a botch. So, okay. You square up, and you're sure you've got this thing dead bang, and you pull the trigger, and blood sprays all over Johnson, like a comical Evil Dead 2 amount of blood sprays all over Johnson.
So we're talking like Tokyo Gore Police.
Right. It's as if this entire creature transmuted into blood upon contact with your bullet, and sprayed onto Johnson. There is a noise as this thing appears to have disappeared. There's a lot of
Wipe
gore.
any of that blood off. Not yet. Have to collect it.
There's a lot of gore. That brings us to Mark's.
Well,
You see this pop.
okay, yeah, because I was while she was coming up the stairs, I was like, and I have essentially brought forth this amazing amount of energy that I was going to throw into something that isn't there.
Excellent.
With a flying kick that suddenly is like, where'd it go?
Why don't you give me a perception and
Perception and alertness? Awareness.
are you, I would assume, and correct me if I'm making a poor assumption here, you're going to be looking for a physical manifestation right now, right? That you're looking for literally, where is it? Give me a perception alertness.
Nope.
Nothing? All right.
Alertness?
Yeah, alertness.
Oh, okay. Let me re-roll that. I thought I rolled for awareness. Actually, yes, one success.
Okay, so you notice amid the bits of gore, there is one shape that just catches your eye as being not. There's just something about it. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look like it fits with the rest of. There's something solid in that blood, in a piece that you see sort of drip off of Johnson's chin and land on the floor in front of him.
Well, I won't kick his chin. Does it, when you say not right, does it like a kind of coruscating? Does it look like a piece of flesh? Does it look like an organ? Does it look like a dimensional vortex?
Looks like probably a piece of flesh, you would assume. It looks vaguely kidney shaped, but it's much smaller.
Okay, then I will reach out and try and grab it.
Okay.
And
You absolutely are fast enough to grab this thing out of the air as it falls through the grated, because you're still down a floor, so it falls through the grated flooring that Johnson is standing on, and you sort of dive over and catch it before it drops.
okay.
And as you're holding it, it becomes abundantly clear to you, this is an ear, like a human ear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agent
There
Green,
are
what
bags in
would
my
you,
kit.
Agent Green, what would you like to do?
Well, this thing has just exploded in front of me, and somehow doubt it dies that easily. So I'm going to reach out with my mind sphere and see if I can, really sort of establish a link with it. See where it got off to.
Okay. So you're trying to use like a psychic connection type of thing, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and make an enlightenment roll. Or arte, I should say.
Thank you.
If that's what you have on your sheet, and that will be. I'm going to say it's going to be. How strong of a communication or rapport are you trying to build? Are you trying to just establish basic presence? Are you trying to be able to communicate with it emotionally? Or are you trying to be able to communicate higher ideas to it?
I'm trying to communicate with it emotionally.
So it'll be a mind to.
I'm using my phone as a focus, by the way.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that would be a mind to
Yep.
adjustment. So yeah, it'll be coincidental.
So that would, so I'm rolling my enlightenment, and my target number is what?
5, sorry.
5, thank you. Two successes.
Excellent. as you're reaching out and trying to establish a rapport, you don't connect with any present mind other than the minds that you expect to be in this room, minds of your amalgam. However, you feel it's similar to, well, I guess if you're using your phone as a readout, what it's displaying for you then is sort of the final echoes of a mental wave. Almost like a Doppler effect, as if a mind had gone past you like a siren, and you're just catching the tail end of it as it's going down the street.
All right, what's my readout?
It's no longer present. The only real emotion you can catch with it is there's fear, and there is frustration.
It's gone.
It left us a souvenir, so to speak.
Oh, great.
Souvenir.
You mean a souvenir?
Yes.
I think what Agent Marks means is it left us a sample, Agent Hugo.
That's also true.
I will hand the ear off to Agent Higa.
Are you all right, Johnson?
Physically, I am just fine.
And how about mentally?
I'm still processing. Meanwhile, Johnson is just standing here in like a T-pose, waiting for Higa to just scrape. It's like, that's fine. Yeah, no, I'm still processing. Just gonna, yep. Hey, that tickles.
You want to take a walk?
No, I'm good. Because last time I walked off somewhere by myself, a two-headed alligator beast.
I'll take a walk with you. You won't be attacked by any alligator people.
I'm good for now. Let's figure out what this was, and then I'll process.
All right.
I'm sorry, that does look unpleasant.
I mean, it's not great.
Oh, Agent Higa, I got some emotional readings off of it. If you'd like to take a look at my phone.
Absolutely, yes.
I will pass my phone off to Agent Higa.
Right, you sort of airdrop the readings over. Are you, aside from collecting the blood samples, which go ahead and give me a, we'll say a intelligence science roll to make sure that you're collecting things without contaminating them. Make sure that you're getting everything proper.
Three successes.
Excellent. Is there, yeah, you're able to sort of, I mean, obviously you're not going to bag up every piece of blood that's on this poor gentleman, but you're able to get some solid samples everywhere that it may have been contaminated with fibers from his clothing, fibers from his being. You're able to get different samples to make sure that you've got a array of material to work from. Is there any?
You don't want to collect it all from just one spot of this body.
Right. No, you want to make sure you get behind the ears, you know. Is there anything else that you would like to do in that area, in that location? Were you still interested in activating that device that you had brought out?
Oh, definitely now.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely want to activate the ACE and find out what other stuff we might be able to find.
And refresh my memory, does that operate on its own enlightenment or on yours?
On its.
Excellent. And that is considered to be, generally speaking, a coincidental. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's high tech, but it's a bunch of drones going around picking stuff up and coming back.
Sure.
So
Go ahead and give me the enlightenment roll of the device. We'll say, and this is just sensory, correct?
No, they have dimensional science 1, life 1, matter 1, prime 1.
Yep. So just a difficulty 4 on an enlightenment roll.
Okay.
Now that takes a few seconds for that to activate and do its thing. Is there anything that the rest of you are doing while Higa is putting that together?
Just keeping an eye on everyone.
Johnson is going to use his phone just because, well, he's a void engineer, damn it. So he's going to use his little bit of dimensional science and his ES phone to just be like, okay, she said it was gone, but there's different definitions of gone. Let me see if this thing jumped over the, what do we call it around here? The gauntlet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And would I therefore be rolling my enlightenment or the ES phone's enlightenment?
You're relying on your own sphere mastery, correct?
Yes.
Then you will be using your own enlightenment. You're just using the ES phone as a focus.
Cool. So 3 dice, difficulty of 5.
4.
4.
Level 1 spheres are coincident. It's the highest sphere in the effect plus 3 for coincidental.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think I can keep track of that. And I have 2 successes.
Excellent. Your immediate reaction to this is this ES phone must be broken. The readouts indicate that this did not cross the gauntlet. This creature came directly across the horizon into this building, which is the membrane between the deep universe and the near space, basically.
I'm going to share this with my compatriots, as well as a quick reminder that I did request before we left that I needed a bigger gun.
You want to blow up the museum?
Not the museum, just the big baddie that jumped from the horizon here.
Anything that you're doing?
Good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, just said nothing good comes from things doing that.
Indeed, Marks. While Johnson was running the diagnostic, was there anything that you were doing?
I was essentially looking like I was doing a scan with my phone when actually I'm taking a selfie with the murderous brain.
Beautiful, love it.
Good shit.
Old habits die hard.
Yep.
And you get a very nice one. I mean, it's creepy, but it's creepy chic. So you could make that work if you had to. And anything that Agent Green is doing while all these other effects are being processed?
Did you say Agent Green or Agent Dina?
I said Agent Green, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm just trying to keep an eye on everyone because last time people wandered off, like Mark's vanished into a hallway and Johnson got attacked by an alligator monster from beyond the horizon. So no, I'm momming everyone right now.
Excellent. And Agent Higo, what was the result of your roll?
3 successes.
Okay.
Which is to say all of them.
The data verifies. Okay, so again, run the spheres that you ran.
Dimensional science, life, matter, and prime. It also deals with force, entropy, and time, but that's just to assist the searching. That's not what it can detect. The forces is so it can move stuff out of the way, and entropy and time is just so that it searches more efficiently.
All right, sure. It's not looking for entropic or temporal anomalies, right?
Right.
The dimensional science absolutely confirms what the void engineer has said.
We have 2 points of data saying you're right.
It makes
You
a
might
lie.
die here.
I remember this.
No, if we have 3 points of data, it makes a triangle.
The life indicates that the ear and about 30% of the blood is human. The remainder of the blood is restricted. It's in the database, but a restricted creature, and it also informs you, like a pop-up comes up that informs you that the DNA sequence of that ear is in the database, but is above your security clearance.
I have a status of 1. Is it above my security clearance?
It is.
Damn it.
Well, we are clearly not meant to know. We need to report back, and then somebody more important than us will let us know what this was.
Oh, good. I love a chain of command.
Me too.
That's so optimistic.
Johnson, do you want to see if there's an ice cream place open on the way back?
Yeah, I am kind of munchy now that you mention it.
All right. You gather your things, head out. The sympathizer who works the counter says, "Everything all right in there?"
Yes.
Everything's fine now.
Am I gonna need a
relative measures of all right?
Am I gonna need a mop?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Is anybody gonna come asking
You don't
questions?
need one, but I would highly recommend one.
That's fair. Is anybody gonna come asking questions? And if so, what do I tell them?
If somebody
I don't
comes
think it'll be
asking
an
questions, we need to know that they're asking questions.
Well-
Here's my number. Why don't you give me a call if somebody comes asking questions? Just tell them you're calling up to your manager.
Sure. Puts it away. Say hi to David for me.
Sure. Who's David?
Your supervisor,
Oh, yes.
the manager in charge.
I'll make sure Gaston knows you said hi as well.
I don't know that I've ever met a Gaston.
You had to get the name drop in today. Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever met a Gaston.
No? I'll bring him by next time. He loves museums.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I love meeting any of David's work friends.
Yeah, of course. It would be my pleasure.
Excellent. You all head out, hop in the car. Oddly enough, at this time of year, I mean, you're covered in blood, so that's a bit odd. But there are like haunted houses that run 365 days up there. So realistically, people are going to just assume that's what you either
Actually,
came from
Travis.
one or yes.
Travis, I have 4 dots of backup.
Oh,
Can we just get someone out to clean us up?
sure, yeah. Go ahead and make a charisma backup roll if you don't mind.
Oh no, I have to roll 9 dice. Okay.
The question is, how many people show up to clean?
The only thing I'm
I
asking
assume my
for,
difficulty is 6, so hold on.
Yep.
I just bring the power washer out. Just set it on a low setting. We'll just do this quick. 5 seconds.
Excellent. So yeah, you call for cleanup, kind of realizing how bad things look. And it takes about 5 minutes for them to show up and basically hose you all down. Hose down the interior, hose down Johnson. They pull out like 2 of them come out. One of them has on a backpack that looks kind of like a flamethrower, but it's just spraying some sort of a fluid. You're pretty sure it's not water.
Right.
But
I very dramatically do this.
the other one has what looks like a Flowbee.
You know how this goes.
And they're like pulling this fluid off of you with the Flowbee, and the blood is coming with it. So they basically just kind of yeah, well, almost, but it's kind of like a big vacuum attachment, and they're just sort of pulling it, and it's sucking all like a wet dry vac, like a shop vac, and they just sort of pull all the blood off of you once they've mixed it with this water, And
If Agent Higa doesn't know what that fluid is, she's taking a sample.
oh, okay, yeah, sure, absolutely. They give you a little vial of it. And about the time the cleanup is done, your ES phone rings, Agent Green.
Hello?
Agent Green,
Yes?
managing agent in charge.
Good to hear from you, David.
Good to hear from you as well. You in one piece?
Messy but alive.
I saw a message come across that you needed a cleanup.
Well, that's what happens when you get an entity coming across from the horizon and then exploding when you shoot it.
I'm sorry, did you say horizon?
Oh, yes.
Do you have data that supports this theory?
We weren't actually, I'm so sorry, David. We weren't actually cleared to know what it was. So I figured I'd let you know before we told anyone else.
Probably good thinking. Why don't you go ahead and bring it down to the office and let's go over what you got.
Oh, David, perhaps I wasn't clear. It exploded when we shot it like a balloon.
Well, that sounds pretty fortunate, and it explains the cleanup.
Yes.
Top notch, David.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We do have some emotion. I sort of give a look at Johnson. We do have some emotional readings from it, as well as some blood samples that Agent Higa took.
Bring me whatever data you have.
Ear.
An ear?
Yes.
An ear from whatever caused this thing?
Or possibly a human ear. Which was it, Marks?
It's human.
It was a human.
Human. It's a human ear.
Hold it up to Johnson's.
Well then, yeah, why don't you bring all that down to the office and we'll have a little sit down, figure out what's going on, if you don't mind.
Of course.
That'd be great.
Also, we need to schedule a museum trip for Gaston.
Okay. I suppose that's fine. I don't see any reason. Do you think he's going to want to go to the museum? Which museum? Are you taking him to Ripley's?
Ripley.
That's fine, but I need Agent Higa to run a full diagnostic on him before and after the trip.
Oh, of course. Oh, and I also think Agent Johnson should get a special commendation as he was the first person to engage with the creature.
I'll make sure he gets an extra donut tomorrow morning.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, please double time it back to the office. I'll meet you there.
We'll be there soon. We're stopping for ice cream. Bye. Like,
you get a text message that says, I want a triple scoop of mint chocolate chip, please.
No promises that Agent Johnson will ensure that it actually arrives.
You stop. There are a couple of options. There's a mom and pop sort of ice cream shop, and then there's like a Dairy Queen. So whichever you prefer, you can
I like
stop
supporting
and
small
grab some.
businesses.
Excellent. You go to the Dairy
We're gonna
Ripple,
support a small business.
and you get cones at the Dairy Ripple, and make your way to the symposium. The symposium is located in a subterranean complex that is underneath Tommy Bartlett's Robot World. So you'll go in and pull into the Robot World parking lot and go underground, effectively, into like an underground garage where you park, and are then given admittance to the Bartlett Symposium. The Bartlett Symposium is kind of a small operation, for lack of a better term. It seems that the principal purpose of this symposium is actually terranorming studies. The main research project that happens here is focused on the effects of the terms used in the study are sideshow chicanery on terranorming efforts. The idea being that the Bartlett Symposium is trying to ensure and enforce the supremacy of a technocratic paradigm while cohabitating with the stage shows that happen, the stage magic that happens in town. It's 15 miles away from one of the largest Native American reservations in Wisconsin. So they're trying to collate data about how that local reality zone might be affecting, if there's any spillover, so on and so forth. It's not an incredibly well-funded project, surprising virtually no one. And as near as anyone can tell, it's kind of Agent Wilder, David's kind of pet project. It's been kept going for several years, longer than anyone thought it might, based on his insistence.
As chat pointed out, it's a what we can get the rubes to believe lab.
Basically, yes. And so you come inside, and the decor is probably late 1990s. Looks like it hasn't probably been updated since about 1996 or 1997.
It's vintage.
Same with the furniture. Same with the carpeting. Because it's subterranean, there is a ventilation system naturally, but there's sort of this odor of 3 decades of Folgers and Dunkin' Donuts that has just sort of worked its way into everything. And
do they have like the little light boxes and stuff because it's underground?
Yes, absolutely. And despite the fact that nobody has been an active cigarette smoker in this symposium in this construct for about a decade, everything still is yellowed and has a bit of an ashtray odor to it.
Place is older than I am.
Working late as usual, David?
Matter of fact, I was not. I was in the middle of a lovely dinner with a woman by the name of Amanda. She is recently divorced and has 2 children. And things were going swimmingly until I got your phone call. So,
you, as I recall, you called me.
Well, until I got the phone call about your phone call, I should say.
Well, I'm very sorry to have interrupted your stepfather potentiality. I'm sure you can get back to it soon.
I'm going to just go ahead and pretend that was meant to be complimentary and invite you all to join me for some refreshment in the conference room while you explain to me exactly what the hell happened out there.
John is already in the room.
Oh, we brought you your ice cream.
Thank you. He takes it and starts eating it as you make your way. Marx is doing what? I'm sorry?
Oh, I said Agent Johnson is already enjoying snacks, and there are only 2 scoops of ice cream.
He raises an eyebrow and continues on. Did you say Marx was doing something?
I'm just watching with a studied nonchalance, being quietly inwardly amused.
Excellent. So you walk in and have a seat, and he starts enjoying his ice cream cone and says, "So, you mentioned the horizon on the call."
Yes, actually, both Agent Higa and Agent Johnson are more studied in this than I am.
Definitely came from the horizon, boss.
We have 2 points of data that support this.
Were there any other anomalies?
Well, it did explode. And
There was a face inside one of the 2 heads that was wearing, sunglasses and whispered a letter. JK. something.
Well, if you were just joking, Agent, I'm not sure why you started with that.
Hmm.
You never cease to amuse me, Agent Green. Great sense of humor.
Well, there was a strange temporal anomaly just before the creature appeared. I was walking down one direction and then found myself facing exactly the opposite direction, and I don't remember turning. I mean, it's not the sort of thing that I would usually forget.
Were you
Interesting.
subjected to any sort of procedures that you were aware of?
No, sir.
Are any of you versed in the arts of correspondence or data?
I am.
Can you tell by chance or could you tell by chance if there were any spatial anomalies?
At the museum or here now?
At the museum. Yes, Agent Green.
Yeah.
I saw Agent Marks disappear into the darkness quite spectacularly, actually, and reached out to try to get it to give her back. And when I did that, it gave me a psychological sensation of liminal terror, like that state between sleep and waking.
Interesting. Did you lose consciousness at any point, Agent Marks?
I did not, sir.
And did you, Agent Marks?
No, sir.
You said you had an ear.
It's a human ear.
Let me see that ear.
He's just snacking on a donut. See that ear? Give it over here.
Takes it.
I sequenced the DNA, but I'm not cleared to know who it is. Fascinating.
He looks like through the ear canal at you.
They could be.
That's really disgusting. Go ahead and put that back in the bag. Can you forward me with the data that you collected from the scene, please?
Absolutely.
He looks at his phone. All right. I tell you what, agents, you can take the rest of the night off. I will look into this and let you know as soon as I have an answer.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're dismissed. Go out and enjoy things. I hear there's a nighttime trek on the ducks they're doing. It's a fine experience if you haven't had the chance to do it yet. Wonderful.
What did you say? Your
the ducks, they're an aquatic vehicle.
Date's name was David.
I'm sorry?
What did you say your date's name was?
The hell did I say my date's name was?
Amanda.
Amanda was her name.
You know, it's not too late. You could probably catch her.
I have a feeling this is going to take me a little while to dig into. I have some, as we used to call it in my day, detective work that needs to be done regarding this piece of information.
Oh, is that sass, sir?
Little bit.
Fantastic.
It pays to keep the wits sharp.
Maybe you should collect some data on that, Agent Higa. I've never heard David sass anyone before.
You should.
Yes, it's quite new, as in not remotely new. That is a fine bit of sarcasm you're working on there, Agent Green. 10, 15 more years.
I wouldn't know sarcasm if it crawled up my leg and blew me.
Well then, that may be accurate. And on a completely unrelated note, I would like you to stay.
Sarcasm with legs?
I'm into it.
Can I requisition one?
I'm certain we can talk to the folks in Q Division. If the rest of you want to go ahead and make your way out to the garage, I will be excusing Agent Green shortly.
I glance over at Agent Green.
I think John looks over to Marks and goes, "Spar."
Yeah.
Heat him up! Heat him up!
We go see Q Division about autonomous sarcasm units.
All right, you stop by the Q Division on the way out. As soon as everybody clears the room, David takes his sunglasses off. Allison, this thing you ran into,
Yeah.
did it talk to you at all?
No, I tried.
It feel
I can only get emotional impressions from it, and that was incredibly frustrating. And apparently, it was incredibly frustrating for it as well. I'll show him the Doppler effect on my phone.
Anything about it feel familiar?
I can't say anything about a two-headed alligator with a mask in its mouth that sounded familiar, sir.
It's not what I meant. Did you
Yeah.
feel? How did you feel, Allison?
I would like to make a perception empathy roll to see what he's trying to get out of me, because I, Jax, know what he's trying to get out of me, but Allison is confused.
Sure, go ahead and roll. Perception empathy.
1 second. It's gonna be 5. 4 successes.
4 successes, you say?
Also, I do want to see Marks and Johnson's bar after this, because that's going to be amazing.
Okay.
It's the same thing that happens every time Johnson did one good hit and then it's laid out.
It becomes very clear to you right away that he's sniffing around for something, and he seems to know a little bit more than he's letting on, and he looks probably as rattled as you've ever seen him look.
I mean, come to mention it, sir. David, sorry. I'm not used to being made to stay after class.
I understand, and I want you to understand. I'm asking you entirely out of concern. You understand? I did 2 decades in the field myself. Frankly, if I didn't enjoy this kind of work so much, I'd be wearing a different colored shirt right now, and you'd be talking to somebody who is probably nowhere near as fun at parties. So,
Well, I appreciate the compliment. It did, you know that feeling where you wake up and you're not quite sure where you are after a really bad dream?
I do.
It
Rather
felt a little
intimately.
like that. See, if you look at the way the fear and the frustration in the Doppler effect goes, it is sort of I'm not sure if it's a pulse rate or an oxygenation rate, but it sort of follows that spike.
It's very insightful. If you don't mind, I would like you to be sure you are monitoring your vitals tonight while you sleep. Just make
Certainly,
sure, just for safety's sake, put an alarm on your phone to let you know if your heart rate gets too high or if you have any
All right.
unusual stressors.
Do you mind if I borrow Gaston for that? Is that possible?
That
I'm
should
sure he
be
has a
fine.
temporary array.
I think he's been oiled and ready to go.
Good, I love it when Gaston is oiled and ready to go.
I'm just going to leave that alone.
Are you going to call your lady friend after this?
Depends on how late I'm working. I have a couple of hunches I need to chase
Are you going
down.
to call her tomorrow?
If I have to.
You're not going to let this overwhelm your work life, are you? You're not going to let your work life overwhelm your chance at being a stepfather, are you?
I appreciate your concern about my love life, but I assure you, like
you were
I
the
said,
one who rattled it off to me as though it was some sort of resume you were presenting. I thought, since clearly it was important to you, it was important to me, and indirectly to the rest of the team.
Agent Green, you are wonderful with people, but one thing that you need to start learning is the value of having all of the data at your disposal.
That's why I have Agent Higa, David.
Indeed. It is.
I'm going to go see what they're up to, and I'll get Gaston on my way out. I assume he's in his room?
I believe so.
All right.
Be seeing you.
You too.
All right. While that was going on inside, Higa, you were stopping at Q Division?
Yes. To inquire about autonomous sarcasm units that can crawl up legs.
So Q
Q
Division
will probably tell me to shut up.
here is one very, very, very overworked black suit that is in, like, you ever seen, like, you ever been to like a factory where you'll see that like they have shared common equipment behind like a rusty cage door, and he's sitting like in like a almost like a window, like a drive-through window almost. That's what you're walking up to. He says, "Agent."
Evening, Agent. Agent Green was talking about not knowing sarcasm if it crawled up her leg. So I assume that there's some sort of autonomous sarcasm units that might be available. If I could requisition one, then I could instruct her on what sarcasm looks like as it's crawling up her leg.
I mean, I could rig a Roomba to tell shitty jokes.
That sounds like fun. Can I help?
Yeah, come on back. He pops.
I'm so glad we're all very into this very serious horror game.
So you two start working on a Roomba. While that's going on, Johnson and Marks, you had stepped out to the parking lot.
Spar.
We went to
Garage?
go strain it, go change into sparring clothes, and went down to the gym.
Okay.
Went down to the gym, changed into sparring clothes, and then
Excellent.
came out.
What is Agent Johnson's martial arts trait?
No. I wasn't kidding when I said the sparring is usually Johnson with some large kind of weapon swinging it at Marks, trying to just get a hit in and then getting laid flat. And he is persistent about one of these days I'm going to actually hit Marks.
Gonna get it.
So you're about 5 practice weapons disarms deep into this situation. Are you engaging in any conversation or musing on the events of the evening, or are you just taking the poor kid to school?
I'm encouraging John and trying to teach him techniques.
Excellent. Why don't you go ahead and give me a manipulation martial arts roll real quick, and John, you can roll intelligence and we'll say athletics.
Oh, this will be good.
Difficulties?
6 for both.
Okay. 4 successes.
Nope, 0.
Excellent. Despite the near flawless instruction you were receiving from Marks, you just cannot get your head around what the problem is or why it's a problem. Maybe it's the gravity here. You know, you're still not 100% used to like your body weighing the way that your body weighs, and and dragging through like the synthesized atmosphere where you're from was just a little bit less pressure than where you're at right now.
And the smell here is weird.
Lots of weird smells all over the place.
So while I'm doing this, and of course I'm being very, very helpful and very, try this and try this. Essentially what I'm doing, in addition to ingratiating myself with him, which I am trying to do, I'm also reading, not only reading how he fights, but reading how he was trained to fight and reading what his body is capable of doing. Essentially, that's a reading the fight technique. Essentially, it's what they formally call it in the book. What did I call it?
It sounds like yomi.
Again,
I don't know what you called it either, but
Okay,
is that
I haven't heard that phrase. What is it?
yomi. Yomi is the infinitive form of the verb yomu, which just means to read, and
Yeah.
it's used in that context.
Yeah, it's the term used in how do you do that is reading opponent.
yeah, give it go ahead and give it a roll. That's a perception.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Let me relook this up. I mean, I only fucking wrote the thing, but I wrote it
Right.
like 5 years ago.
Well, among
You also
a
wrote
few
book
other
that
words.
Kill a small child.
That book can kill a large adult, don't?
Also, while he's looking through that, I just want to point out to the audience that our only male character is John Johnson, as played by Drew. So he's basically running around with all of these weird older sisters.
Right.
And I think that's fucking adorable.
I would
Yes, sir.
concur.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Also, while Marx is looking that up, you do stop by Gaston and pick Gaston up. He's sitting in a chair.
He's a himbo.
What's that?
He's a himbo. Let's be clear.
A himbo?
Oh, Travis.
Travis, have you not heard the term himbo?
I have not heard the term himbo, please.
Oh wow.
Does someone else want to explain himbo? Because I know how I'd explain it.
I mean, it's really, really simple. Let's put a couple words together here, Travis.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what's the
Him,
Have you seen the new the
Honestly,
newest
have you seen
Ghostbuster?
The Witcher?
I have seen The
Have you seen
Witcher.
The Witcher? You know Geralt?
Oh, sure. Yes.
And also
Yeah,
Chris
okay.
Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth,
Yep.
Chris Hemsworth's character in Ghostbusters.
That's fair.
So
Yep.
the large, attractive, swole man who is drowning in respect women juice and is also not very smart.
That's probably accurate, yes. So he's sitting in a chair, staring forward. And you see he's got a jar sitting next to him that has like a paste kind of up around the lip of it and a spoon sticking in it. He's just sort of staring forward and licking his like gums.
Hey, Gaston, what you got?
Baby food.
Why are you eating baby food, Gaston?
I've been watching films that were recommended to me by the agent in Q Division.
Uh-huh. Which
He's-
films?
He suggested I watch RoboCop, the original, of course.
Oh no. Okay. I
And I
need
thought,
you to do,
yes,
I'm gonna drop my sunglasses over my eyes just so I can tilt the sunglasses down real quick. I need you to do a sleep study on me.
oh, of course, absolutely,
So you're coming home with me tonight. Is that all right?
absolutely. Should I bring
Don't
armaments?
spill any baby food on the sheets.
Don't bring what?
Don't spill any baby food on the sheets.
Oh, that's fair. I don't think I'll be eating any more of it.
Good. We'll find you something else.
Yes, I have, I believe, more organic components than RoboCop. Also, it's gross.
Yes.
He stands up and starts walking out behind you. And did you find what you're looking for?
I love him already. Oh my god.
At least you didn't get Disney's Gaston. That would be
Oh, no.
obnoxious.
No, I'm very attached to this Gaston.
He
Honestly,
does.
he probably was built to look like Disney's Gaston, and that's why he got the name.
Hmm.
Most likely.
But he's
There also may be a few humorous MP3s programmed into him, but we may or may not run into those during this campaign. Did you find what you were looking for, Marks?
Yes, actually, what I'm doing is not magical. It's simply just getting a feel for how he moves, and that would be just perception plus martial arts.
Excellent. Yeah, go for it.
Difficulty.
We'll say probably I'll peg this at a 7 actually.
Okay.
And I'll explain why.
Two successes, one of which is a 10. My specialty in martial arts is brutal.
Okay, so yeah, it becomes clear to you as you're looking him over that a lot of his movement issues seem to come with having a poorly developed relationship with his center of gravity. Like he doesn't know where his center of gravity is.
Okay.
At all.
This is both.
Yeah, he moves like somebody who's still getting used to the idea of always being pulled in one direction. You know?
Cool. So I know that if I ever have to fight him, I know what to do.
Absolutely. Breathe on him real hard. Yeah, you absolutely could. Fairly confident you could take him out, no problem.
Yeah, because I'm both. Essentially, what I'm doing is, one, I'm ingratiating myself with John, and two, I'm figuring out how to take him out if I have to.
Thank you, Batman.
It's a solid plan. And Hiromi, why don't you go ahead and give me a roll for Agent Higa? Let's do intelligence technology.
Okay. Just 2 successes.
Okay. Not bad, though. You effectively...
Dice.
Are you going to be using any sort of enlightened science on this, or are you just using a mundane programming on it?
I think he gets serious about it, so some amount of enlightened science, yeah.
How would you like to sweeten the pot of the programming on this thing?
It's going to dig through linguistic corpus, corpora, in order to find phrases and shitty jokes that are rated as being the most sarcastic.
Okay.
So we're essentially talking about a serious computational linguistics algorithm that's just going to go through and do a corpus search for a while and then come back with the best.
So probably data 3. Well, there's a couple ways you go about it. You can do data 3 mind 1, and that would be pretty much instantaneous smartassery.
Isn't that what you want?
Kinda. I only have data at 2.
Okay. I mean, you can use a data 2 mind 2, and tune it to. It'll be a little slower, but it will have the emotional feedback of the person it's reading, so it'll be able to sort of personalize it. As opposed to just being a super quick wit, it will be a slower but more personalized insult.
Next step.
And because it
to Gaston.
and because it has Wi-Fi, that's going to be coincidental. So go ahead and give me a difficulty 5 enlightenment check. Because ultimately, you're using an existing internet connection. And you're accessing a database. Nobody wouldn't believe that was possible.
Okay. One success.
All right. So you are able to make it functional. It's like I said, it's not particularly fast, and you can improve its performance by giving it a more limited database to search through. The closer you get it to a, like a Teddy Ruxpin that you would pull and it gives one of 8 responses, the better. Or plays pre-recorded ones. The closer you would get it to that, the faster it goes. But you have a basic working model. Do you have any primal energy? Like, do you have, I guess...
yeah. You want me to
rather, do you have
one
the
to get this thing charged?
Yeah, you'd probably spend 1 to get it going, and then do you have the prime sphere?
No.
Okay. So yeah, you won't have any way of powering it long term. So it's basically only going to last as long as it lasts, and then you're going to need to get it recharged with either a new procedure or get a battery for it.
Okay.
But that eats up a surprisingly long amount of your night. Like, you start to yawn and you realize it's like 4 a.m. What are Marks and Johnson doing for the rest of the night?
Let's see. After several hours of sparring, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try and see how much it takes to wear him out.
Okay. What's your stamina, Johnson?
3.
Okay. Last for quite a while.
Okay. Also 3.
Yeah, but he has no technique, so you can certainly go much longer. That's not an issue. He eventually starts to get, and he's had a rough day too, so yeah, probably starts getting a bit sweaty and worn out.
And essentially, I'm going to spend the whole time this will help, and essentially, I'm being very nice, I'm being very friendly, I'm being very encouraging, and not flirtatious exactly, but ingratiating, and I said, really making a point of helping him as much as I can, actually, sincerely, but also really, really getting on his good side while scoping out where his good side and maybe his bad side are.
Okay.
And then, when he seems to be getting tired and or bored and or aggravated with this, to say, let's go wash off, and I'll get you some whatever is. Does the construct have a cafe, or what does John Johnson like? I mean, what is a treat for John Johnson?
Anything that hasn't come prepackaged from the Void Engineer facility he grew up on. It's like real food, not soy paste blocks.
Okay, so after we get washed up, I'm going to go take him out. My treat to a really nice, not like 5-star, but a really nice local restaurant.
And there are a number of them. Whatever type of cuisine you desire pretty much can be found there. It is a tourist trap, and there are they do cater to a pretty wide variety of palates. Everything from 5-star dining to an elephant ear out of a cart that someone is walking by hand. So yeah, you can absolutely go grab some food, eat up. Anything? Does anyone have anything else they want to accomplish before they bed down for the night?
I think after sparring, getting food, Johnson is like, I'm going down to the shooting range. I'm going to get whatever large caliber laser rifle is available. Just like, okay, good. I'm good. Fired off like 10 rounds. Now I can sleep.
Go do something you're very good at.
Yes.
That's fair.
I'm going to, unless he seems reluctant to, I want to tag along because I want to learn how to do this too. I mean,
oh sure.
It's all useful. So
let's
stuff that's not part of my experience.
Sure. Let's do just for giggles. Let's do a manipulation and energy weapons roll for our void engineer, and let's have Marks do an intelligence and firearms roll. Marks, your difficulty is going to be 8. and your difficulty for teaching is going to be a
hell yes.
5 on the teaching roll, Johnson.
And remind me how specialties factor in, because I have a specialty in energy weapons, small arms. Would this apply? Is this bonus dice? Is it?
Well, no, because you specified that you're using a big ass rifle, so no, it would not apply.
Okay. Well, I'd say I'm not sure what small arm, because I'm thinking small arms is anything infantry. So
No, small arms is like a noisy cricket.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's probably what I'm using, but I'm not going to stress. This is all good fluff. Hey, that's all right. 2 successes.
Excellent. And how many did you get, Marks?
I got 2 successes. One of them was a 10, but I don't have any applicable specialties.
Okay, cool. So you can justify the purchase of up to 2 dots of energy weapons as a result of this training process. Once you have experience to, spend on it.
Yeah, I will earmark that down then as when we get experience.
Beautiful. You all head to your respective homes and bed down for the night. Agent Higa, you're the last one to leave, so I'll get to you in a moment. Where does Agent Johnson sleep? Drew?
I'm thinking probably just like some form of bunkhouse at the symposium.
Okay. There's like a barrack there. It's actually got, aside from the fact that there are only, outside of your amalgam, as far as you know, there are like 4 other awakened or enlightened personnel there. Everybody else is sympathizers, and there's probably only about a dozen of those. Pretty small area. But despite that fact, there's actually barracks for about 24 people to sleep. So they're almost always empty, and they're very cookie cutter, like straight out of manufacturing look to them, despite being over 2 decades old.
Yeah, there's several that he has like, nobody else is here. These are all mine. His stuff is kind of spread, drape some blankets around to create like a, cubicle kind of effect around an area. Yeah, there's a little piece of paper that's taped up with, giant block print that, says Agent Johnson.
Love it. Where is Mark sleeping?
Marx doesn't like the barracks, but is kind of stuck in them right now. So I'm going to be sleeping as far away from anybody else as possible and have made it as comfortable as possible under the circumstances.
That's fair. So you're in basically the far corner of the barracks from where Johnson is sleeping. It's currently you're the only ones that sleep there on a regular basis, with the possible exception of Higa. Higa, I assume you do you have your own place, or are you sleeping in the barracks as well?
She does have her own place, but it's basically like across the street from the amalgam. Like she doesn't have enough resources to live far away and for it to be nice. So instead it's close and crappy because that's the most efficient.
That's fair. And Agent Green, apartment?
Agent Green lives in company housing.
Okay.
So not the barracks, but she has an apartment that is paid for by the symposium.
Okay. So you're probably in the same building as Agent Higa. All right. Those of you who are sleeping in the barracks, you bed down for the night. It's relatively uneventful. And you sleep fairly well. I would let's just do a straight up willpower roll for each of you, because you did go through some strangeness yesterday.
Difficulty?
Difficulty 6.
4 successes.
Yep, can't rattle that void engineer. One success?
One success.
It sits weird with you, Marks, but not quite in the way that you would have imagined. You would have thought that the thing that would get to you the most about this was this mysterious sort of shifting in time and space that you did. But as you toss and turn, trying to get yourself to rest, the thing that bothers you the absolute most is knowing how many likes you would have been able to get if you could have just shared that damn picture.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
It does. Agent Green, you get back to the house. Gaston accompanies you inside. The apartment, I should say.
Hmm?
You get back to your apartment and Gaston accompanies you inside. Where would you like this sleep study to take place?
Point at my bed.
Very well. He goes and sits on the foot of the bed.
I'm gonna go get changed and do my skincare routine.
You walk into the bathroom and start taking off the suit, and you look in the mirror, and the entire mirror in your bathroom is just covered with blood. Beyond the blood, you don't see your own reflection or the reflection of the room you're in. You see a hallway, and this hallway appears as though it is made out of what you're hoping is esophageal tissue. It's some sort of organic, definitely a tube that you would envision inside of a body.
Gaston.
Yes, he gets up and starts to walk over.
Here, please.
As he starts to walk over, of course. Do you need a towel? He starts walking over. As he's
Point at the mirror.
As he's walking over, you hear a scream, and you see a form in the mirror at the end of that hallway. For just the briefest of moments, give me a perception and awareness roll, please.
Okay. Don't like that thing, no sir. Don't like that thing, no how. Perception awareness or perception alertness?
Awareness.
Okay, so that is 5 for me, I think. Cool, that's 4 out of 5.
Excellent. As you look, you see this form shaking, jittering, having this sort of like ghostly overlay almost the way that Marks did. But you can clearly make out that it is a man in a black suit. And you can see that he has wrapped around various pieces of his body, his arms, somewhere around his torso, strips of what appear to be reptilian skin, as if he had
Ooh, I don't like that.
as if he had skinned one of those things and wrapped it around himself.
So I would like to hold my phone up to the mirror and use my mind to freeze the image in my phone.
Excellent.
Is that just a normal difficulty?
Yeah, so that would be that's coincidental as all get out. Difficulty 4, because it's really just perception, right? You're not communicating with it. Yeah, it's difficulty 4 on an enlightenment or arete roll.
2 successes.
Excellent. Yeah, you get a picture of that landscape.
Okay.
And he starts to speak. He says, don't you know where you are? Don't you know where we are supposed to be? You need to get D now. And when he screams now,
Leave.
The glass starts to like rattle. And you say leave in a very commanding voice, and you hear a click as the bathroom door opens and Gaston hands you a towel.
Thank you. Gaston, one moment before you go, could you look at something for me?
Sure. Have you been practicing Photoshop?
No, Gaston, I took this picture in my mirror.
He turns, and you hear like a tearing sound as a 50 50 millimeter chain gun shoots out of his back and points at the mirror.
I don't think it's there anymore, dear.
Are you certain?
Do you want to look at it?
I don't detect any reality deviance in the mirror.
Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Before we do this sleep study, could you upload this image to our database so that somebody can look over it?
Absolutely, but I'm confused.
Now, Gaston.
As you wish. He
Thank
hits upload.
Tag it as urgent. Please?
Done.
Thank you.
He looks
Do you
around
happen
and
to have any-
chain gun goes back.
Do you happen to have any melatonin or some kind of electrical thing that could cause my heart rate to slow down? Not necessarily an AED, please.
Do you want me to knock you out?
No, I don't think that would be helpful for the sleep study.
In my experience, you would definitely sleep.
Would I go into a REM cycle, though?
Searching. I do not know if concussive force prevents you from going to REM sleep. I've not been programmed to care.
There it is.
I have a medicine of 1. Do I know that like applying pressure, like steady pressure to the temples will cause you to fall asleep eventually?
Sure, I'll allow that. Why not?
Yeah, because that's something I know IRL.
Yeah,
Is
that's
you can
fair.
actually just...
Isn't bodywork one of your
Yes, it is actually. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have mind 2 in bodywork, right?
I have mind 3 in bodywork.
You could actually just decide to go to sleep.
Cool. I'm gonna do that.
Excellent.
Oh man. So many nights that would have been so much easier.
It does require an enlightenment roll, but it is coincidental.
Oh no! What a shame. I'm gonna have to go to sleep with this large hit mark sitting next to me in the bed. I don't know how I'm gonna survive that. What's my difficulty?
5.
Cool. 2 successes.
You're able to go to sleep effectively at will. He does say to you before you perform the procedure, would you feel safer if I kept my gun in or out?
I think I'd feel a lot safer if you kept your gun out.
As you wish. The blade the sort of spins. You get that whirring, spinning sound of a chain gun for a moment.
White noise generator.
I love him.
He just pats you gently on the knee as you rub your temples and then pass out. Each one of you receives a text message indicating a file upload marked urgent from Gaston.
Please don't be porn. Please don't be porn. Oh, but what is that?
You take a look at it. It's a picture of Agent Green standing in her mirror, and she is like quadruple exposed. And each one of the exposures has a drastically different facial expression. But that's all that's on that image.
Oh, that's not what I saw. That's interesting.
And you do put yourself to sleep with that procedure. And over, everywhere you go, you have 4 or 5 dreams that night. Some of them about mundane things like going to get a cup of coffee. Some of them, at whatever level Agent Green chooses to have appropriate dreams about coworkers. But no matter what the context of the surrounding dream,
My dreams about coworkers are always appropriate.
whatever the context of the surrounding dream, you ultimately wind up turning a corner, walking into a room, looking into a mirror, and you ultimately wind up seeing the same image that you saw there in the bathroom. And it's not the seeing that image that scares you so much as the revelation when the next dream begins, how much it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I have mine 3. Can I call out to Gaston in my sleep?
Yeah.
Cool. I would like to ask him to tell me the reading.
Okay. He explains to you your REM cycle, all the things he can biologically track on you with his basic sensors.
Cool. I'm assuming like when I'm calling out to Gaston, it's basically through a lucid dream, so I can sort of hear him talking while
Sure.
I'm dreaming.
That's fair.
You want me to roll for that?
Yeah, I'll allow that to fall within the effect that you used to put yourself to sleep. Same difference.
Cool.
That can all be within that.
Yeah, it's still
around
2
that.
successes, so.
Yeah. He feeds you the relevant data. The only thing that he can really track, he's not fully enlightened, so the only thing that he can really track is your biometric data.
Yeah, though, that's all I need him to track.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's where we'll wrap things up for this week.
Cool.
So, any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns about tonight's session?
Thank you for making them interesting.
Thank
Fucking
you
aliens.
for making things interesting. I was given a lot to work with, so.
Oh my god. Oh man, starting off with John shooting an alien was fucking great.
Who shot an alien? I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry, ducking an alien.
Yeah.
That was also great.
It was a very good way to start.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I like that you took my sarcasm remark, Hiromi, and ran with it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
For my notes, what exactly did that agent whisper? That face?
Yeah, because I don't think any of us caught that.
He whispered D.
D.
D?
Okay.
D is in the letter. D is in dog.
As in
Oh.
Vampire Hunter.
Sure.
D. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I kind of wanted to do with this session, V or D? D is in dog or V is in vampire?
D is in Vampire Hunter D. D is in dog.
Why would you say that?
Because Vampire Hunter D is a very...
So rude. So something I really wanted to try and do as sort of team leader in this is really pass off play to other people. Did people feel like I did like a decent job with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or did I pull too much spotlight this time?
No, from where I was sitting, it seemed cool. But did anyone have any feedback one way or the other? Anything that particularly did or did not work for the session? Let's actually just go around and touch base just real quick. If there was things that you really liked, things that you really didn't like, or something that you have a question about that's maybe not so much like I have a question because there's suspense, and more of a question of like, this didn't make sense. Like, what was it that he whispered? I didn't catch this thing because you were doing a silly voice. Those kinds of questions. A place where I wasn't maybe clear as a storyteller. So let's do reverse order from when we started. So, Drew, was there anything that you had along any of those lines?
I am all set.
Rock and roll. Was there a moment that you particularly dug or particularly did not dig?
Hey, I'm just glad everybody's letting me snack. We have determined the John Johnson character. He punches things, he gets beat up, and he eats.
And he eats. That's valid.
And he has 3 older sisters who love him very much and will kill the man for him.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Speaking of older sister number 1, Jax, was there anything that you particularly did or did not enjoy tonight? Any questions that you had about the session?
Wow.
Any feedback?
I actually really enjoyed the NPCs you brought in. I thought they were super fun.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoyed getting to know the other characters. It was super fun seeing how I related to Marks and to Higa and to Johnson, and sort of how my character really felt a responsibility to these people to make sure that they were okay. And feeling that desire for everybody else to be okay before she was okay was a lot of fun.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. Hiromi, anything you particularly loved, particularly didn't love? Questions?
When the idea of whether or not sort of turn and focus passing was going successfully, I would say absolutely. Like things felt like they were moving fluidly. I'm obviously biased through my perceptions of things, but like it kind of seemed like we all got to do something cool that we were good at, with possibly the exception that Satyr had a roundhouse kicked chambered and it didn't get to kick ahead.
Oh.
But like I feel like we all contributed meaningfully and got to do fun and weird shit, and like my flaws have already come into play.
All good things, and not just yours.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone's flaws have come into play at some point tonight, at least once or twice.
What flaws?
John Johnson was not engineered with any flaws.
Right, flawless.
Ignore the one intelligence required to try and learn anything. That's built in. That's a feature.
It's a feature, not a bug. Oh Lord. All right, cool. I'm glad to hear it. And Satyr, any thing that you particularly enjoyed, particularly did not, or something that was elusive in a not fun way?
Oh, I love the interplay between you and Jax, and the sarcastic the sarcastic manager, and what you all had going there over your stepfather role, and
your stepfather potentiality.
That's stepfather potentiality, yeah. And I love getting Marks and John getting to spar and Higa's gadgets, and just that was a lot of fun. I also love that it was subtly creepy with moments of with moments of splatter, and that both of them were played off nicely. And as I mentioned in the chat between us, I'm really pleased that you managed to make something I never thought was particularly interesting. That was nicely done.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And that will there will be I am desperately looking forward to next session.
I also love for all the for the viewers out there, I love that you've started writing lyrics to the Gaston the Hit Mark
Yeah,
song.
that was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to go through chat and do some research, because as I said, I have plans. I have a few in the chamber for dramatically appropriate moments should they occur. But
I found I was looking through Pinterest at one point, and I found a picture of a cyborg holding a little girl going. So I'm like, yes, I will put this on my board.
Love it.
Some of us have Pinterest boards for this game. It's very exciting.
Oh, you should share that. Should you decide to, or should you be comfortable sharing that? I would love to see it.
It would be.
I want to see the robot cuddles Pinterest. That's.
So, and I had a really good time just interacting with everybody, laying groundwork. I really do hope everybody felt like they got a fair amount of screen time, and I really am looking forward to seeing where this is going for next session, because I have some stuff planned. I think we managed to cover all the bases tonally that I would like to touch throughout the next several weeks. So now it's just going to be more of exploring those, and hopefully everyone watching and everyone at the table is enjoying the ride.
Also, I want to say I didn't know Drew before this game, and it has been such a joy getting to play with and interact with you during this.
Y'all got to come play Awakening with me, and then we'll really have. I went the whole session without doing that. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Well, I'm really proud of you. Good job.
Yeah, no, it has been a blast, especially when I came in. It's like, oh, everybody knows everybody, and everybody wrote on M20. Cool.
Well,
Not at all. Oh yeah, no, it's been a blast.
Well, and
yeah, but no, seriously, I'll come play Awakening with you. Don't throw invitations at me like that and expect me to.
I put that in the chat, man. Like,
okay. I'm going to come join the OA Discord, and then you're going to have to put up with me.
Let's make that happen. And we also will have another. Am I pointing at the right side now? We also will have another joiner next session. So bringing working Abby in. She just had some stuff that couldn't be avoided this week, unfortunately, but it sounds like it was good stuff, and I'm told she was hanging out in the chat too, so thank you for that.
It was very exciting.
So before we run off, a couple things. One, the reason for the season, the whole reason we're doing this thing, is because Technocracy Reloaded is currently on Kickstarter.
Oh shoot, that's a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing that's happening.
That's a thing.
You may or may not have heard of it. It has gotten a few dollars over at the Kickstarter, but we would love to be able to get. We'd love to be able to get a few more.
Well, I'd say.
It's been a blast to watch. It's been a blast to watch people interact with, and just hearing stuff from the community about what people want to see. The best way to see those things is to either go back it if you haven't, or go tell your friends to back it if they haven't. Or add on a storyteller's screen if you haven't, because those things push us forward and give us more leeway to add more cool stuff to the stretch goals. And I have a ton of cool ideas for that companion and for other stretch goal things. So,
yes. Well, while Travis is going through this, I was curious to see what the chat liked best as well.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
But please continue to go through your plugs, because those are important.
Yes, please let us know in the chat. And also, if you don't get a chance to let us know in the chat, or if you're watching after the fact or whatever, all of us are pretty easy to find on social media. We'll go over that as we're saying our goodbyes for the night, which we should probably start because we're running a little late. So let's start. Let's go in reverse order. Marks, tell us who you are, who you're playing, pronouns, where we can find you, anything particular you'd like to promote.
Okay, hi, Soderos Filbricato, aka That Damn Mage Guy. Pronouns he, him. I am playing Marks, who is a syndicate enforcer, and you can find me on the Facebook Mage group. I have a Filbricato or Soderos Filbricato author page on Facebook. Find me on Twitter on Soderos Bricato, and on Patreon, where there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things up there for folks who join in, which include the novel that I have coming out shortly, Red Shoes, a impending collection of short fiction called Valhalla with a Twist of Leith, and some audiobook stuff that we are recording right now for both of those books, and that is at Patreon, Soderos Filbricato at Patreon.
Sweet. Definitely check out the Patreon. It's seriously one of the most prolific ones I've ever seen. Like, just so much stuff. So yeah, it's well worth your time and money to invest in that. Please support that. Next up, Hiromi.
Support both of them. Sorry.
Everybody's got. I think we might all have one. Hiromi, tell us your pertinence, and well, you should.
I guess. So I'm Hiromi Kota. I am a freelance RPG writer as well as a queer genre fiction writer. I mainly do queer sci-fi and fantasy, as well as military fiction and a little bit of horror. I'm pasting in my Amazon author page, which is handy because there's a whole bunch of fun projects going on there. I guess the one thing that I'll highlight is the Trinity anthology, which has each book has 3 men authors, 3 women, and 3 non-binary authors. And because that was kind of the way that the project was set up at the beginning, the content tends to skew queer. The May edition is not out yet, but any day now, I think. And my short story there is entitled Be Fae Do Crimes. And I have a very short snippet of that over on my Twitter, so I guess I'll link that too.
Please do. Please do. And please check that out. That sounds super dope. Jax, give us your pertinence and tell us who you've been playing and tell us where to find you and all that fun stuff.
I am playing Allison Green, the technocrat with a heart of gold. She just really cares about everybody so much. She's a member of the New World Order. When not playing a technocrat, I do not wear this wig. This is a wig. I'm very proud of this wig. It's very nice.
This is a very good wig.
This is a very good wig. This is about the wackiness you can get away with in the Technocracy. But in real life, I am Jacqueline Brick, she, her. I go by Jax a lot. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet as Rufflejax, sometimes as Polyamorous Nefandus. I am on Twitter as Rufflejax. You can find all of my links on my pinned post on Twitter. I have a Patreon, which has a long, pretentious French name. I have an Itch.io that is Rufflejax. You can find me on Drive-Thru-RPG as Jacqueline Brick. You can find me on my website at jacquelinebrick.design. But all of that you can find on my Twitter, which is Rufflejax. That's RUFFLEJAX.
Beautiful.
Like the chip.
Please check that stuff out. Support Jax. She's amazing. And if you're not already supporting her, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I don't know. Support her and then go sit in a room and think about what's wrong with everything all the decisions you made up to this point.
Also, before we go on, Travis might be giving me access to the Twitch this Sunday, and I might be getting drunk and answering questions. So keep an eye out for that.
It is possible that will be occurring possibly on Sunday. You should definitely keep an eye. If you're not already following the channel, you should be. There's a little heart you can tap to follow it. Also, if you're an Amazon Prime user, you get a free sub per month. We would love to be your free sub. Otherwise, you can sub for as low as, I believe, $4.99 and get access to every game as soon as they air rather than having to wait until they go up for YouTube. You can just go right in and watch it, and it's amazing and awesome. And then last but most certainly not the least of us by any stretch of the imagination, Drew.
Just the guy with the 1 intelligence. Hi guys. I'm Drew Kindorf. He, him. I'm playing Agent John Johnson of the Void Engineers. Hence, tips. I don't know. Does this actually make it on camera? Whatever. I on Fridays I run the Occultist Anonymous Mage the Awakening game. That if you're watching this on Twitch right now, Friday we're coming back for episode 100. We have new art, we have new branding. Everything looks snazzy. I'm super excited. So you can see the other mage. You can come chat with me and the whole wacky Mage the Awakening crew that I've cobbled together. That's yeet into .space to access our Discord. Oh yes. And that's where that all is. And you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/occultistanonymous. That's where all the stuff is. You can check that out. And then we do have our Patreon for some extra stuff, which is staylucky.club. And that'll whisk you right over there, which has got all our episodes, plus all the other weird doohickey stuff that we do. Like we've got some character sheets up and stuff like that. So if you want to get some of the background information, that's over there on Patreon. And that's all I got.
Sweet. And yeah, so definitely make sure that you're supporting these wonderful artists and any other artists that you might be coming across on this channel. That when I'm not doing this, I'm the programming director, so I get to see all of the awesome that Drew and all the other STs that get on here every week and do. Did I miss something, Drew?
No, I just happened to look over at my Awakening Discord, and I just have a message here. I'm excited to steal all the ideas for my Technocracy. Apparently, one of my Awakening players has the Technocracy in their Awakening game. So that's apparently a thing.
Awesome.
Not one of my players, one of my community members.
Fun fact about that. In Hunter the Vigil, there is a guy who meets up with the Chimera Corp, or whatever the hell it's called. The big evil hunter corporation.
I think it's Chimera.
Yeah, I think it's Chimera.
Chiron.
Shows up and
Chiron.
goes, "Hi." What?
Chiron.
Chiron, thank you. Shows up and goes, "Hi, I'm from the Panopticon." What do you mean you don't know what the Panopticon is? What?
Oh dear.
Oh, yes.
One day when we have a lot of time to burn, I'll tell you all the story of the game that I ran that went from being a Vampire the Masquerade to being a Chronicles to being a Vampire the Requiem back to being a Masquerade game. But that's a story for another night. Same characters.
It's for a couple hours, it sounds like, yeah.
But yeah, just so everyone knows, once again, I cannot thank you enough, players, for being at the table, audience for being here watching, and supporters for supporting Technocracy Reloaded. We had an AMA today, and on Reddit.
Amazing.
It was a lot of fun, and my former business partner, who I started Aegis Studios with in 2001, the first role-playing games I ever published was with that company, popped his head in and said hello, and it occurred to me, 20 years ago, I guess, 20 years ago, sitting around in my friend's living room playtesting a game that we weren't sure we were ever even going to publish, to coming here is literally dream come true time. So thank you all for the opportunity to do that. Means a lot. And this has been a privilege and an honor. And please support.
It's going to be a privilege and an honor next week.
It will be next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Please support Technocracy Reloaded, and when you're not supporting Technocracy Reloaded, buy Scarred Lands, all of the Scarred Lands, and tell all your friends to play Scarred Lands, because I want to make more Scarred Lands.
Scarred Lands is pretty cool.
It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. But yeah,
if you need to be sold on it, we play it. So watch that.
You can see it every Saturday, and you're going to be getting a double dose of it every Saturday here in a couple weeks when Pirates of Bloodwater returns. So yeah, thank you all so much. We will see you this time next week. Wash your hands, stay socially distant, and be seeing you.
Bye.
Whoop.
And hold for dissolve.